This will be a demonstration and review of the WBT-1 portable electric scissors. Now, the electric scissors that I've normally known about were ones that I remember my mom using when I was a kid, that were used for cutting fabric when she was doing sewing. These are a little bit different in that, of course, they're cordless. They're also a bit more heavy duty than your standard scissors. From what I've seen of the advertising of them and the uses, a lot of the time these are used for like cutting heavy cloth, leather, Kevlar, carbon fiber, fiberglass, and those types of materials. And while I haven't had a chance to use it for that, one thing that I have found it useful for is for cutting up cardboard boxes, which I'll provide a demonstration of that shortly. Just cover a few of the features here that I find sort of interesting about it. First off, the blades are replaceable. Actually, this particular one includes two different blades. The one that I'm using is the heavy, is the one that's meant for cutting heavier materials, and the replacement blades are about $12. Of course, this is a rechargeable. This is actually sort of a little different than what I would have expected in that these are actually nickel metal hydride batteries instead of the more typical lithium-ion type of battery. And of course, as far as basic operation, that's pretty self-explanatory as far as being able to, just do basic paper cutting, for example. I do find it sort of interesting. It looks like this may actually be sort of designed to where it is, relatively easy to disassemble and maybe even repair. You've got, obviously some very generous screw holes there. Doesn't look like it's been glued together or anything like that. And even the battery pack, if you look down inside here, there's actually some nice screw holes in there, so it might even be feasible if you had the time and inclination to actually replace the batteries on these. As far as battery life goes, as far as the uses that I've had so far, I have not had any problems with battery life. Sometimes I've used it over the course of a couple of weeks before remembering to actually recharge it, and it's kept going just fine. Now, this particular set of scissors, they are a bit more expensive. This set cost me about $170. I did notice on Amazon when I was checking earlier that another company is offering the same scissors for about $140. So there are some a little better deals out there, and I also saw some that I would call sort of clones of this particular style of scissor going for in the $100 range. One thing I would say, these I don't believe would be equivalent to the, say, $20 or $30 sets of scissors that you see. Those would probably be more equivalent to what you would use for basic fabric cutting. So my preferred use for these has been essentially to break down cardboard boxes. Cardboard boxes are one of those things in the age of Amazon and eBay is something you've got to constantly deal with, and of course breaking them down so that they don't take up all your space in your trash can can be a bit of a challenge sometimes and a bit time consuming. So what I'll do is I've got some cardboard box. Got a cardboard box here, at least one cardboard box that we'll try and tear down here with this. Maybe try and get a little better view of what's going on. Just go ahead and tear this cardboard box down. Of course, over the years, of course, I've used box cutters, and sometimes if I know it's going to rain, I'd take a box like this and throw it outside in the rain and let it get good and mushy to make it easy to break apart. But we'll go ahead and run it through this and see how well it works. And I think you can probably get the idea of that. Actually, this is double layer right here, and again, I would say cuts through much faster than what you would normally be dealing with. Even if you were using a set of box cutters, and of course, generally what I find is that box cutters are generally just dead, dull knife blade holders rather than any kind of more often than not. So I think you get the idea on that. I've actually got a little bigger box I'll demonstrate on as well. And after that, you know, you can decide for yourself if you think spending the extra money for this would be, you know, something worth having in your shop and maybe saving you a little bit of time. Recently I purchased myself a bicycle, and of course it comes in a very large box, and of course you run into a similar problem if you're say buying a big screen TV or something like that. So we'll go ahead and see how this does on a larger box. So obviously there are no problems as far as breaking this down, and of course you could obviously, you know, again, to get things down into smaller pieces that are a little more easily handleable for putting in your trash can or your recycle bin. So, like I said, it's definitely a bit expensive, but if you find yourself dealing with lots of boxes, then you know, this might be a tool to consider. And of course, actually, I guess with Christmas coming up, you know, it might be one of those things that you could actually, you know, get for someone and actually have it be of some use on actual Christmas Day. So if you got any questions, just let me know.